Assalamu alaikum. Who are you and what is your role?
Sure, my name is Mohammed Parekh. I am the Managing Director and Founder of MRP Premier Group. We are a real estate investment development consultancy based out of London, UK, and we advise a wide range of global clients, mainly in the Middle East and the Far East.
What challenges and opportunities have you seen with Islamic finance in UK property deals?
I feel over the last couple of years there's been a variety of new kind of financial products which have been available in the market. So alhamdulillah, I think a lot of investors here now have access to buy-to-let mortgages, a home buying product. So we kind of direct them to a variety of institutions here in the UK. The interesting point is obviously we operate heavily in the Middle East and the Far East. And it's important to note the fact that the UK is about 15 to 20 years behind in regards to providing more offerings, better service level offerings and providings here in the UK. But that is dynamically kind of linked to the small minority Muslim population here. Now, intrinsically, a lot of people have also concerned to me saying, look, Mohammed, we do not see the value in Islamic mortgages. The reason when I say that, it's more in linked with the cost of finance. If you put two apples and apples together, if one is costing more money, why would you utilize that? However, more and more people now intrinsically linked and understanding the fact that the war on riba and understanding the implications of what the Quran says and the Prophet ﷺ has indicated on certain elements of what we do, they're getting more conscious in regards to how they conduct their investments. So albeit if a Islamic investment is more expensive, they will still look to kind of pursue that opportunity. When it comes to Middle Eastern and Far Eastern investors who are looking at stuff here in the UK, 9 times out of 10, they've got their credit facilities over in the Middle East and the Far East. These guys have huge lines of credit, which they already have. We, at times, are aware of the institutions that provide them. There are more kind of banks around those areas which have been in the Islamic investment space for a very, very long time. Their service providings are far more kind of quickly done. However, one thing that we have noticed is the availability of private credit more and more now in the Middle East and the Far East. Institutions or family offices are looking for JV partners. So many times people say, oh, how do I get an Islamic mortgage when buying a large development, etc. But now they go into private credit or family offices or private funds overseas who look for a JV model. So necessarily it won't be a mudarraba, musharraka or ijara model, but it will be a partnership between two institutions which will have commercial terms, and they go down that route.
How does MRP Premier Group balance ethical investment with commercial viability in its projects?
Okay, importantly is understanding what is ethical investments. We advise a variety of Muslim clients and non-Muslim clients as well. So importantly over the last couple of years, ESG and other elements have come to the forefront of development for a variety of people. And then obviously they're intrinsically linked to Section 116 agreements, and we have all these things in the planning obligation and the sector we're in today. Listen, at the end of the day, a lot of Muslim clients that we advise appreciate the fact that we have been provided an amana from Allah. Money is an amana, and we have to answer how we utilize that money going forward. We aren't a Islamic advisory. We are a real estate investment consultancy and advisory. However, we rely upon our Islamic scholars, etc., to guide us and to give us guidance on how to go forward. But importantly, I always reassure people this, that when they state ESG or Islamic finance, these two things are intrinsically linked together. The way we conduct business, the way we talk and act with people has to be done in a way that firstly we give dawah. I think there's a very, very important way that we conduct ourselves in this world. But importantly, the way that we do projects do not negatively impact the environment that we're in today. Allah has created the earth for us to utilize its resources, but we've also been identified, do not plunder the earth, right? So a lot of our investors are very, very clear the fact that there are obligations for them to do. The concern comes then from commerciality in regards to agreements. Now, if you are, for example, contributing quite a large sum, so Section 116 agreements, and you appreciate that you have to have a biodiversity gain, or you have to contribute to an energy centre, and you have to contribute to the CIL, etc. People are happy to pay that, right? The concern comes when the fact that you're paying this money and you're not actually seeing the fruition of this, right? That is the intrinsic linked elements where many people have an issue, the fact that how do we do this? Now, it goes back to feasibilities and viabilities. Importantly, there's obligations that many people have to do. However, many other people, and I know we advise a lot of Muslim clients, ensure one thing, that they want to create and design good quality spaces. Good quality spaces, one, are good for people to rent out or develop, etc. But importantly, is linked to what you're doing as a Muslim potentially is delivering the best product or the greatest product.
How do you ensure Islamic compliance in cross-border investments across the UK, Middle East and Far East?
So alhamdulillah, we at the company do a lot of this advisory work. We work extensively in the Middle East and the Far East and have a lot of clients that we're working with in regards to cross-border investments. And as you've probably seen, Mr. Trump has kind of reignited the world over the last couple of weeks, and people have been moving and shaking. The important thing is, I think from a Muslim point of view, the war in Gaza and implications across the world has rethought a lot of people's strategies, right? And this is me speaking about Muslim clients in particular. Many people want to understand, again, we go back to the amana that we've been provided, they want to ensure that the money that they invest is going to the right different markets. So therefore, many people have actually looked to take money out of the UK, definitely out of the US over different instances, and look to deploy that money in different areas. There's a lot of opportunities in the Muslim world, right? That's what we have seen. When we say the Muslim world, this could be Indonesia with a large population of Muslims, or Malaysia, or it could be the Middle East. Now, the Middle East right now is a great haven for a lot of people who determine that we believe money should be going there for investment projects, etc. The way we navigate it is, if a Muslim comes to me and says, listen, I would like to kind of invest money in certain areas, we don't say, oh, go to, for example, Qatar or Kuwait, because they're Muslim institutions. We pride ourselves on ensuring the fact that what is your long-term strategy, right? If you say to me, Mohammed, I've got $10 million that we're looking to invest. We want to have a long investment horizon, 10 to 15 years. We want a good rental yield potentially on that, and we want to see some capital growth. There is different elements of different markets that bode well to that. Secondly, we want to obviously potentially work in environments that are conducive to Islamic finance. And in Malaysia and Indonesia, there's huge amounts of products or potential support from institutions which allow that to happen. So overall, we have actually advised a lot of our clients. So we've actually got a Qatari client right now who's phoned us and said, listen, Mohammed, we want to sell our assets here in the UK and we want to move some of our assets in different areas. His load right now is the fact that I'm just going to pull my money out and be cash rich and invest in different projects. That could be in technology or biodiversity or other elements which are out there as well. We had a conversation that he was looking at some projects in Saudi. He sees a long-term vision there potentially as well. There's many clients who see the element of Dubai, right? We don't, firstly and foremost, I don't feel that Dubai is a very stable a very stable real estate market. It's a fad, right? Many people will say that, you'll crucify me online, whatever it is, but we look at data over 20, 30 years to understand demographics, understand wants and needs and changes. Right now, a lot of people make a lot of fast money off small elements. However, people will see the fact that, okay, if I go into the UAE, I can get a golden visa. Or if I go to a different institution, I can change my lifestyle on how to do it. So I think understanding the key dynamics of the client is very, very important. Institutional investors will say, okay, we want a long-term investment hold, where are the best yields? But we'll say, you know what, actually, there's some really good office buildings in Singapore. You're going to get a very, very low yield. However, there is some capital appreciation you might potentially get there. There is opportunities, for example, in Indonesia of Sharia-compliant hotels, which many people will not have access to here in the UK. So it's actually providing those opportunities to our clients, which drives obviously their wants and needs.
What global real estate trends are shaping Islamic finance investors' strategies?
Yeah, it's interesting when you say that, right? Because ultimately, a lot of people are driven by their wants and needs and requirements. But understand, like I mentioned previously before, amana, we have given money by Allah, and it's how we utilize it and how we determine it. So with political situations in different areas around the world, many people do not agree with certain elements and are pulling out money, definitely of the UK and the US and Europe, right, of their stances on certain political situations. However, Islamic investors right now want to see value add. That's my clients, right, that we speak on, definitely from the firm's point of view. Some of the clients that we approach, right, they're very driven the fact that, listen, we just want an income and we want to go in the best safe haven. Right, the UK, the US, very, very stable real estate markets. We're talking from institutional points of view of large office buildings, large residential buildings, BTR, PBSA, provide really good, great opportunities to clients. However, what many people are seeing now, because of the technology bloom that is going forward, it mind boggles me the fact that the UK and Keir Starmer think that we're trying to attract AI here and data centers when we can't even provide enough power to our grid at this moment in time. People aren't aware of how much power it requires to do a data center, right? And the income going forward. So a lot of our institutional investors right now are looking at opportunities, for example, in Malaysia and Indonesia. There was a special economic zone developed between Singapore and Malaysia called in Johor Bahru. And it provides great opportunity for a lot of data centers. A lot of people are looking at those opportunities there. Now, again, Muslim investors are thinking, okay, we don't agree with the political situation in certain countries. Where do we see opportunities? And there's plenty of opportunities across the world. And more people are coming to the Far East because they see low barriers to entry, but also huge amounts of populations and economies which are growing. The UK, in our opinion, is always going to be a safe haven for certain real estate. But is it somewhere that you can put money into a logistics center or a data center? For example, in the Middle East, data centers or logistics centers are performing extremely well. So many clients see the opportunity. You have to appreciate, Islamic investors or investors of any tag, these are non-Muslim and Muslim, see opportunities in different parts of the world. However, Islamic investors are intrinsically linked by something which is here in the qalb, right? It's understanding the fact that I have a moral obligation to ensure the fact that my money invested or my money, wherever it goes, is going to somewhere which is beneficial. So they will probably maybe align themselves to certain institutions. Now, a lot of people go to Pakistan or India, and I've looked at opportunities abroad. Definitely some great opportunities. I think there was a lot of real estate developments in Lahore that are going very, very well. I think there's one, I forgot the guy's name, the ex-apprentice winner, I think he's in Dubai, but he's doing a lot of development, or he was on the apprentice, I forgot his name, the Pakistani gentleman, I think he's part of it. Yes, yeah, I think yes. So I think they're doing a lot of developments in Pakistan areas, which are providing great opportunities for people. If they see an opportunity to develop and or kind of get returns, why aren't people pursuing them as well? The issue that comes from these concerns is currency devaluations. The Indonesian rupiah, the Malaysian ringgit, have all suffered recently. That might be intrinsically linked to Donald Trump and other things of the dollar going down. So you have to be very, very astute. As an Islamic investor, you don't just pull your money out just because you don't like something. You have to ensure that you're not losing your money as well. You have to be very, very astute in where the places you go. So it's having that conviction, the fact that if you're taking your money from somewhere else, it has to go somewhere else, which is better, if not on parity. And places like Southeast Asia have the currency devaluation element, which people have to take into consideration.
What advice would you give to those pursuing a career in Islamic real estate finance?
Okay, so importantly, we appreciate there's two elements to this. There's the religious elements, and there's obviously the professional element of legislation, etc. We as Muslims, I feel, we have a duty to educate ourselves and gain ilm, that is given by Allah, to ensure that we're ready and have the necessary knowledge going forward. So I wish, going back 10, 15 years, that I took an alim course to kind of prepare myself onto this level, to get more information going through my blood, right, and to prepare myself. There's one institution that does that, right? I don't know if you guys are aware of Lantern of Knowledge. It's a very, very good Islamic school that a lot of people I've spoken to, which are ulama from there, who've come out, but also excel in the world as well. They apply theology to practice, right, going forward. The second thing is ensuring that we utilize our ulama. Right? They are a resource for us. We as Muslims rely upon our ulama and our Sharia scholars. One thing that I have to be very, very clear, and I always say to myself, I am not a scholar. I am not a learned person from that. I'm not an ulama. I rely upon the ulama to guide me and ensure what we are doing is in the right, preferred way. All goodness comes from Allah, all badness comes from us. Right? We ensure that what we do is in the right basis. Looking back, I wish I did some sort of alim course to kind of prepare myself. But importantly, there's a lot of good muftis out there which are in industry, right? And that's the key thing. Because if you study religion, and this is the fundamental, you have to understand how the dynamics of the world works, right? I'm not saying the world is perfect, but you have to be aware of the dynamics. You have to be aware of the fact that why bridge finance, for example, works. Bridge finance works because you have to be or you have to execute a deal very, very quickly. And so therefore, we need a product that allows you to do executions very, very quickly, right? So there needs to be some sort of understanding. Now, what I have noticed through my travels and stuff, the UK is 15 to 20 years behind. Again, I always say that because of our low Muslim population. However, the Far East and the Middle East is providing a lot of value for opportunities. But the concern that always comes to me is, we are here in the UK, definitely London, one of the leading financial institutions in the world, right? The UK government issued a sukuk. What's happened after that? Why hasn't there been any Muslim institution or Muslim real institutional capital to provide some sort of institutional elements of that, right? Appreciate all these institutions are coming out now, home buying, etc. But we don't really see some large, for example, Wahid might be one of them, right? Who are providing an opportunity there. My advice to someone coming forward is purify your intention, right? We have to understand why we do certain things in life. If you're getting into Islamic finance, understand why you're coming into Islamic finance, right? This is what I try to remind myself every day. I have a duty, I have a haqq to ensure the fact that the way that I conduct business, the way that I undertake business is a true reflection of Islam, first and foremost, because I give da'wah. This is da'wah. Yeah. Me sitting here with you is some sort of da'wah to someone out there. So is this a way that you might be a solicitor, understanding how Islamic finance works, and trying to convince non-Muslims that potentially this is the way that actually finance should be, right? The riba system is a very derogative system which locks people in. Is this a way that I could give dawah to people? And in understanding what value we are creating, right? This is something I teach, or try and teach myself every day and remind myself. Whatever thing that I'm trying to do in Islamic finance, what value am I creating? For someone here, but also for my akhirah, right? Because ultimately, whatever we do here in this world is temporary, but we're obviously trying to understand the way that we conduct business and stuff is for the akhirah going forward. So seek knowledge from the right people. There's plenty of people out there. Seek knowledge from the right institutions and the right guidance people. Question people. This is the biggest concern that I always have. It's like people mindlessly take information but aren't ready to question, right? And what we should have is healthy debates, healthy conversations. I asked myself when I was a young gentleman, right? I questioned why, look, we might have all been in this position. This is my own personal story. Until a certain age, you were taught by your parents to pray, right? You didn't understand what Subhana Rabbiyal A'la meant when you put your head down, right? But there was one day that you understood why I pray and why I do certain things. The importance I always try to teach myself is, why do we do Islamic finance? What is the haqq of Islamic finance? Why are we trying to ensure that we conform to something? Because I feel that there's loads of options out there for an investor to potentially, or a home buyer. No one can turn around now and say in the UK, there is no product for me out there to buy a halal mortgage. 10, 15 years ago, maybe there might have been conversation. But now there is opportunities out there. So understand the fact that, okay, I'm going down this route with Islamic finance, right? I'm making a war on riba myself. I'm making a firm commitment. Allah, please guide me. All right, that is the main thing. Ask Allah for that guidance. Ask Allah the fact that, okay, Allah, open my doors, the fact that this is what I want to achieve, I want to learn. Allah, grant me ilm in this knowledge. And understand what value you want to add. Because it always goes back to the very, very important saying, what do I do as a single person? That is the mentality of us, right? We see stuff in the world right now. But if you have a distinctive vision and intrinsic value, the fact that, you know what, I'm going to learn this, and ensure the fact that, you know what, my family coming forward is not going to have riba, right? This is my grandchildren or my thing. You're onto a path of success, and you pray that Allah opens those doors.
How do you see Islamic finance in the future?
Islamic finance comes in two elements. It's actually the deal transaction. So the availability of products coming forward, I think, is going to be more and more beneficial. More and more people will look at that. But then again, this goes back to Islamic investments, right? Ensuring the way that people undertake business is done in an Islamic concurrent way. So talking about Islamic products, the availability of more products out there, the better the service level offering that's coming forward, I definitely think the UK is in a better position. What Wahid are doing now with the crowdfunding element allows more and more people to come in, Nest, Offer, all these people. It provides great opportunity. I think Muslim investors potentially to buy properties or development, etc. There's definitely loads of opportunities out there, and I feel like this disruption in the economy or the financial sector it might be a bit of a waking up call for the large institutional banks. I know they all pulled out, but this could be a wake up call. The fact that Offer and all these guys are coming in, actually shaking up the industry, it's going to be good. I feel more competitors coming in. The only person who's going to benefit is the customer. I think it's going to be very, very beneficial for that. From an intrinsically kind of social value point of view, if people understand why they undertake Islamic investments and to add value and undertake it, this is going to be more beneficial. One, for the ummah, but ultimately the community, right? If we're developing things here in the UK, providing more housing, providing more social housing, affordable housing communities, we're benefiting the community that we live in. That's Muslim communities, non-Muslim communities. We live in a concurrent community that we gel together, so it's going to be more beneficial. I think the availability of credit for Muslims who might not have potentially wanted to do business previously before and now see intrinsic value to come in might mean more Islamic developers coming into the foreplay as well. However, they obviously need to be guided by the right individuals and given the right information. So I think it's a healthy mindset here for the UK. Overseas, I think there's huge amounts of products out there. There's loads of crowdfunding platforms. The telephone has completely changed it. I say telephone, that shows my age. That shows my age. The iPhone, or I should say, all kind of smartphones have completely changed it, because you can now sit on your phone and put £5,000 into some sort of investment deal, so that it's making it more fluid. FinTech is the place, and it's really transformed it. But ultimately, look, institutional investment is now gearing more and more to understanding that there is large-scale institutional Islamic investment vehicles out there for people. So positive, alhamdulillah.
What opportunities do you see for Islamic investors today?
So I think it's important that these opportunities present them to Muslims and non-Muslims around the world. Firstly, talk about the UK. I think the UK is going through some interesting dynamics at this moment in time. We have a lot of investors who are building a bit of a cash reserve and seeing opportunities where, if the market dips or produce an opportunity, I think the UK still delivers good yields of 6 to 8% if you're looking at some good real estate deal opportunities here in London. The demand is always strong. We advise a variety of clients right now. We're seeing a lot of our clients looking to dispose of their assets because they're trying to re-gear and look at some more development projects. So there's definitely opportunities here. The other regions that we operate in, obviously the Middle East is great opportunities. There's a lot of stuff going on in Saudi and in Qatar and a few other areas, but that has to be driven by demand. Is there a stable market there? Riyadh is definitely, there's a lot of expats coming in. There's a growing population. Saudi Arabia has obviously changed and relaxed some regulation and rules. However, you can't buy for investment purposes. You can buy for residential and staying there purposes, etc. So many people see opportunities around those regions. I think I mentioned Dubai. My advice is don't go. Right, go to the place, but don't buy it. I think that's my advice. But for example, Abu Dhabi provides a lot of opportunities. There's a much more stable economy there as well. But I think the real forte, I think, is the Far East. Low barriers to entry. We're doing a lot of stuff in Indonesia right now. We've actually signed 2 large MOUs with some large developers, some government organisations, and actually a sustainable developer there as well, actually we're advising and helping with. There is huge amounts of opportunities for Islamic investors. When I say that, because actually a lot of projects are intrinsically linked to community projects. They provide madrasas, they provide women-only kind of job centres or areas for work. Masajids are part of every single development. So these are intrinsically linked to a lot of people's zakat elements, right, that they do there. But this is part of an investment project, that makes sense. We see yields in the double digits. However, the important thing is to take into consideration currency devaluation and appreciate there's some fluctuations, etc. in there. But this goes back to, again, for Muslim investors, are you investing with the view of making money? There's opportunities around the world, but if you want to ensure that some source of your money is intrinsically supporting projects, we're doing some stuff out in Aceh, which is a province in Indonesia, which is actually governed by Sharia law, funny enough. However, there's huge opportunities there to kind of rebuild villages. We've done some small stuff outside of Jakarta in Indonesia as well, where we're actually looking to design some kind of self-sustainable farming locations. I'm a big believer of self-sustaining communities. I believe our ummah is very determined to give zakat, to just basically provide someone charity for that year and come back again. What I strongly believe in is actually empowering people with the money and the donations you do. So a lot of clients that we do are actually developing waqfs. that actually have these charitable initiatives which support these things. And I think real estate is a perfect opportunity. Uthman ibn Affan is the perfect character of how much of his waqf is really delivering assets and value to Muslim clients right now. But one of the projects that we're actually working on is this, as I mentioned, was this real estate development of housing, but it's got local farming. Now, those farming plots are being developed and to kind of cater water, and actually the people residents there are able to actually kind of utilize that farm and generate some income. So it is kind of a zakat charitable project, but it's actually also an investment project because people are getting some returns on it. So what better is there, the fact that you're providing community value but also getting an investment return. So, and that, look, these projects are open to Muslims and non-Muslims. We have no dynamic in that. We actually have a lot of non-Muslim clients that we advise who are very, very enthralled in ESG and giving community projects back. And I think the UK does have that through Section 106, but not to the extent that a lot of these other projects are happening across the world.